Well, Sully's on the couch and Scout's here chewing on my hand, and I guess everybody's ready. Today, we're going to talk about the mystery of the Mary Celeste. Now, the Mary Celeste is a ship, and we'll get into what was weird about her. And for reasons, everybody calls ships her. I don't know why that is, but okay. So, this is a huge mystery and it's still unsolved. There are lots of theories about what might have happened, but nobody knows for sure. And honestly, probably never. No, thank you, Scout. Get your tail out of the way there. Come over here. Come over here. No, come over here. Come over here. There you go. Nope. There you go. Wrangling cats this morning. So let me share my screen with my mad skills and Scout's help here. Maybe not. There we go. And the current slide would go. There you are. There we go. Okay. So the Mary Celeste was originally built in 1861. Was built in 1861, and her original name was the Amazon. She was built in Spencer's Island in Nova Scotia, which is in Canada. There were some problems with the Amazon. The first captain died mysteriously of some sort of illness or maybe poisoning. No one seems to be sure. There was collision with another ship in the English Channel. This seemed to be a kind of a bad luck ship. So in 1868, the ship was sold and re-registered as an American ship, no longer a British ship, and they changed her name to Mary Celeste. Now, there are a lot of sailors and people, especially back in this time period, that believed that if you changed a ship's name, it was extremely bad luck, and a lot of people refused to sail on ships that had had their names changed because nothing good was going to happen with these ships. So everything was fine. She sailed along. Everything was fine. November the 7th of 1872, the Mary Celeste left New York, bound for Genoa, Italy. On board the ship were the captain, this dude right here, Benjamin S. Briggs, his wife Sarah, and their 2-year-old daughter Sophia. I guess they couldn't get a babysitter, so they took this 2-year-old with them on this voyage, and either 7 or 8 crewmen, depending on who you read. I really think it was 7 other crewmen, and the ones that say 8 crewmen are counting the captain and just not saying that they're counting the captain. So I really think it was 7 crewmen and the captain, but I can't prove it. The ship carried a cargo of what was known as denatured alcohol. This was used for industrial purposes, for cleaning things. They used denatured alcohol, I believe, in making ammunition. They use it for a lot of things, except you don't drink it. It is not alcohol that drinks. It is alcohol that will poison you if you drink it. For 2 weeks, the ship battled through the winter storms. This was apparently an extremely bad winter, and was known to be one of the worst winters in recent history for storms. There was, maybe a day or two between storms, and then there would be another great big storm. And, storms on the sea are a bad deal in this time period when you're traveling in a wooden boat and there is no radio, there is no way to contact anybody if you are in trouble and you can't figure a way out of it yourself, and nobody happens to just pass by at just the right time, you are probably going to die. This is a very dangerous time period to be traveling on the ocean because there's no way to call anybody if you need help. On December the 5th, 1872, the British ship Grazia saw the Mary Celeste about 1,000 miles off the coast of Portugal. The ship was headed in the wrong direction. It was headed away from Portugal instead of towards, Portugal. But all of her sails were in place, but they couldn't see anybody on board. And when they signaled the ship, because they had lights and flags and they would signal, nobody answered, and they began to think, this is kind of weird. There's nobody answering over there. So Captain David Morehouse, this guy right here, sent a boarding party over to check out the ship. Maybe everybody's sick. Maybe they need some help. What's going on with this ship over there? When they got there, they found that no one was on board the ship. No one. All of those 8 people, 8 crew people, including the captain and the captain's wife and the captain's 2-year-old daughter, they're gone. No one is on board the ship. The lifeboat was missing. The cargo hatches were uncovered, but still the cargo lids were still in place. There were several feet of water in the cargo hold. The pump that was used to pull the water out of the cargo hold and keep it from sinking was disassembled. It was taken apart. There was enough food and water to last for 6 months on board the ship. And all of the people's belongings seemed to be there and in place. Everything was just like everybody just walked off of the ship or just got, vaporized off of the ship. No one is there, but all of the stuff is still there. They found the captain's log, which is where he writes down everything that happens on every day. The last entry was from November the 25th. It's December the 5th now. On November the 25th, the captain said nothing weird was going on. Everything was fine. So the ship was taken, they kind of towed it or, put some men on it to sail it to Gibraltar with the Grazia, because that's where she was going. And they took it into Gibraltar as a salvaged vessel, which means that the crew of the Grazia and the company that owns her will get a bonus payment and maybe even end up owning this ship, because nobody, it's just roaming around out there on its own. Nobody owns it. It's like a stray animal, So there was a man on Gibraltar, which is a kind of an island off the coast of Spain. His name was Attorney General Frederick Solly Flood. He was stationed on Gibraltar, and he was kind of an odd little dude. He wanted to be the governor of a major British province or colony, and he didn't feel like he was rising in his career very quickly, and he felt like he needed a really big flashy case to get attention and get him a better job. And he decided that this one was it. The Mary Celeste was going to be it. He was concerned about the fact that Captain Briggs and Captain Morehouse had known each other and had actually had dinner together with both of their families the night before the Mary Celeste sailed. So he immediately decides, you know what? This was planned all along. The Captain Morehouse knew where Scout's doing something weird. Captain Morehouse knew where the Mary Celeste was going to go, so he just kind of followed along 2 weeks behind it, and he had his men go on board and kill everyone on board. They found one place on the railing where it looked like somebody might have hit it with an axe, or it might have been damaged when they lowered the lifeboat. That he immediately decided that this was a place where somebody had hit this with an axe when they were trying to kill everybody on board. He found a place, I believe it was on the deck, but I believe it was in close to where the lifeboats had been, that there was a stain. It could have been blood. And he decided that was a blood stain. He found a sword that was stored under the mattress of the captain's bed. That's where it was, and it was some sort of a souvenir. And maybe he put it up because there was a 2-year-old on board now, and so he put that where the kid couldn't get to it. I don't know, but he decided that was the sword that had been used to make this blood stain on the deck. All this weird stuff. So he began an inquiry that may have been just to advance his own career. And he may have falsified evidence, because during this time period, and this inquiry went on for 3 months, And he's presenting evidence that, look, you see these blood stains here and blah, blah, blah. And eventually it came out that, you know what? Those weren't blood stains. They were rust stains. And Solly Flood knew they were rust stains. He was saying they were blood stains because it made a better case for him. Eventually, the judge decided that, you know what? You don't actually have any evidence of foul play. This is over. We don't know what happened, but we do know that the crew of the Grazia didn't do whatever it was. So this is over. Arthur Conan Doyle, who you may know as the creator of the Sherlock Holmes books and the creator of Sherlock Holmes, before he wrote the Sherlock Holmes books, because I think Sherlock Holmes was in 1887. In 1884, he wrote a short story called, and I'm not even sure how to pronounce some of this, J. Habakkuk Jeffson's Statement, which was a short story that he based on the Mary Celeste incident. Now, he thinly veiled this to keep from getting sued by the family of anybody that was on this ship, and called the ship the Marie Celeste instead of the Mary Celeste. And on it, it claimed that an escaped slave had been running around as like a pirate on another ship, and he had come across the Mary Celeste, and he and some of his crew had led a mutiny on board the ship, killed every one of the crew, and then apparently just gotten off the ship and went away and was never seen again. It makes very little sense, and it was just a short story and kind of based on some weird ideas that were going on at the time about the different types of people. But it helps propel the mystery of the Mary Celeste. That may be part of the reason that people still remember about this ship today. Now, the theories of what went on get really strange. One of the theories is that the crew got drunk and mutinied. But then where did they go? Why did they take, if the crew got drunk and mutinied, why did they take the lifeboat and leave the larger ship? Why did they leave all of their stuff, including their money, on board the ship? It makes very little sense. Another theory is that they were attacked by pirates. But again, pirates would have put a crew on the ship and taken the ship. They wouldn't have just left that ship out there floating around by itself. Some people believed that a sea monster apparently got the ship. Now, in most of the stories I've read about that are supposed to be about sea monsters, the sea monster kind of wraps around the ship and crushes it and sinks the ship. It doesn't just eat the people off. I don't know. Some people believe that maybe a water spout or some kind of a hurricane had happened and washed everyone off board the ship. I can't even talk this morning. And one of the theories is that there was a buildup of gases in the hold that caused the hold to explode, and caused the hatch to explode. And maybe that scared everybody badly enough that they had felt they had to get off the ship. That's possible because the alcohol in the ship would produce gases. And so they would normally have to leave the hold open and maybe pour a little water down in there and kind of wash everything out a little and then pump that water back out, because that would keep the gases from building up. They know from the captain's log that they were having a hard time getting the hold aired out because there was such a short time period between storms. But when the ship was found, the hatches were still in place. They hadn't blown off. So that begs the question of, what's up with that? The newest theory is that the pump was found disassembled and clogged with coal dust shortly before the ship sailed on this last voyage. They had done some work on the ship and refitted it and built another half of a deck on top and all this different things. And there would have been a lot of sawdust and various things in the ship, that meant particularly down in the hold, that may have gotten into this pump and clogged it up. The crew may have attempted to abandon ship to reach an island and maybe taken the lifeboat, and that's why they left everything there. Maybe there's some theory that maybe even the crew attached themselves, got in the lifeboat and attached themselves to the main ship with a rope so that they could be off a little bit while the hold vented, or while they tried to work on something on the pump. And that way they weren't actually on the ship while and maybe a storm came up and the rope was broken and the lifeboat sank. We don't know. And all anybody's got at this point is theory, because anybody that was there that could tell us what happened is gone and was never seen again anywhere ever. So we know they didn't make it to an island where there were any people, at least, or where anybody went after that, because nobody ever saw any of these people again, any of them. Okay, so the Mary Celeste, the ship itself, was now a salvaged ship and was sold and sailed for various captains for 12 more years after this. The last captain deliberately ran it aground and crashed it onto part of the island of Haiti in an attempt to defraud an insurance company so they could get money for the sinking of the ship, an accidental sinking when they sank it on purpose. So it's sunk somewhere off the coast of Haiti. In 2001, the author Clive Cussler, this guy right here, who wrote lots of famous books, he claimed to have found the wreck, but further investigation proved that the wreck that he found was actually about 10 years later than the Mary Celeste would have sunk, and so it couldn't possibly have been the Mary Celeste. So we still don't know where the Mary Celeste is. All right, that's all I have there. So here we have this huge mystery. Nobody knows what happened. This is still one of the great mysteries of the world and of ships in general. Tell me what you think. What do you think happened to the Mary Celeste? Your ideas are probably just about as good as anybody else's at this point. Let me know. Give me comments. Give me likes. Subscribe. Share with your friends. Thank you for joining me today. We will talk again next time. Okay, Sully, that's all.